Hello, Empowered Woman. Welcome to this episode of the Empowered Woman podcast. Today I'm going to talk about a mindset shift I've noticed in myself this year that I know made such a difference in my growth. Money is good. Impact is better. I realized focusing on the impact I can make and the transformation I can provide has yielded me more sales and income, and I'll share more how you can get there too. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Empowered Woman podcast, the #1 show on personal development for women entrepreneurs. If you're wanting to stop spinning your wheels, trying random personal development resources, and actually boost your confidence to show up fearlessly in your life and business, this is the place for you. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Marta Spurk, and I'm your host, triplet mom, woman empowerment coach, and all things motivation extraordinaire. Welcome again. Let's dive into today's episode. I'm going to start this off letting you in on a little secret. It's not really a secret, but I have been actively in the process of writing my very first book. I actually started this mid-pandemic, but it didn't go anywhere because, it was a lot to handle. And then now, slowing down a little bit because of the holidays, I'm picking it back up and I'm going full throttle, which makes me so excited. I always love sharing things because I know how important it is to involve your audience in everything. But of course, I can't share a whole lot since everything's going to be released in the book. But I'm going to be talking more about the book in the coming months. But the reason why I am saying this, or the coming weeks, the reason why I'm saying this is because reading some of the drafts inspired some thoughts. And then with everything that recently happened, with my successful webinars, workshops, and getting people into the Empowered Woman School, booking more one-on-one clients, like things have really taken off for me in so many different ways. And while things are taking off, I always like to look back and take note of what I did, what exactly I did that made it work so that I can replicate it. And then I can teach women, my clients, how to replicate that and make it work for them. And I got to tell you, it's hard for me to come off of a super successful launch event, and then just chill a little bit, like, okay, what's the next? What's next? What's the next thing? And that's why I identify so much with the Enneagram 7, because even though I am a 3 at my core, I have a little bit of the 7 of what's next? What's next? I can't just sit still and think. But so writing the book is amazing because it's me sitting still and thinking, but it's not just me being idle. I don't think you will ever see a moment of me being idle. Like, I know I have to implement that more throughout my day, but it's just, I get too excited with the business and with my different ideas. But anyways, reading through the draft of like the intro and first chapter, I talked a lot about impact and my drive for starting a business when my babies were so small, and so many people antagonizing my decision and thinking that it was not what I should be doing. And me still trying to figure out, like, why do I have this need? Why? Where is this coming from? Why can't I just be the normal, quote unquote, stay-at-home mom that just takes care of her triplets, of all things? And why do I have this drive? And then being surrounded by so many entrepreneurs now for the last 4 years and seeing that so many other women feel this need as well. I know that I'm not an anomaly, but it's still a challenge. It's still a rocky road because of the ups and downs, because of the uncertainties, because ultimately it's you facing yourself and having to be very clear on what you want and figuring out what that is. And a lot of what I talk about in terms of making an impact made me realize that a huge part of my growth this year, and therefore the growth of my business and of my income, came from me not being so focused on the money. And that may seem crazy. You have to have goals. You have to have goals for a launch. This is how much I want to make. This is how many people I want to sign up. This is how many tickets I want to sell. You have to have those goals. And it seems so impossible to detach from that. This is what I want, but it's okay if it doesn't happen. Like, it seems so unrealistic. And that's the reason why people give up. They don't stick around long enough to understand what that means. Of, it doesn't matter if you set a goal and you don't reach it. That's the reason why you set goals, because then you can do it again and experiment again and learn from the experience. It's just depending on your background, depending on your upbringing, and especially if you did not have any experience as an entrepreneur or in your family or whatever, it's hard to come to terms with the fact that there will be failures, quote unquote, and you're just going to have to keep going. But when you think life, isn't that what that is? And that's why I've loved being a mom alongside my business, because it's the same. You're going to fail, you're going to mess up, but what, you're just going to give up? No, you don't. You don't have a choice. You have to get up in the morning and feed the kids and be with them. And so what I really want to talk about today is this realization that I had that's really coming together amazingly in my book and in the content that I'm planning for 2021, starting, early in January, really helping women with this mindset and not using money as their goal, but seeing money as the side effect of the transformation that they can provide for their audience and for their clients. And with that, I started thinking about how in the early stages of my business, I felt silly even saying I was an entrepreneur. I felt silly even saying I was a business owner because I wasn't making a whole lot of money. And talk about imposter syndrome, right? You don't believe you're good enough because you're not making the money. It's like chicken and the egg. You don't know what comes first, right? You're not making money, and so that's why you don't make any money. Or you don't think you're good enough, so you're not making any money. So it's like everything compounds and contributes to you not increasing your income and not feeling like a true business owner. And a lot of it too has to do with, I gotta tell you, money shaming. Have you seen that? I heard this expression for the first time when I had a connection call with a CPA. And she talked about, I love educating clients and helping them see how being successful is not about the amount of money that you make. And that is hard to separate the two things, because how do you gauge your progress, But I remember even one of my mentors back in the day telling me, Marta, you do have a business. You're making sales. It doesn't matter how much money you're making. You are a business owner. And having those feelings of I'm not worthy enough to even be called that does put a damper on your growth. But I gotta say that you cannot expect to never have these feelings, or that they're never going to come back at some point or in some shape or form, because it's normal, right? It's normal defense mechanisms of your brain. And so let's talk about money shaming. I am sure you have experienced, even if you're not a business owner, you've seen people talking about making six figures. Everyone is, promising you even you're going to make six figures after you take my course, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And so it automatically makes you feel like a failure if you're not there yet. And I've shared this a little bit before, and I really want to hone in on this to say that before you make six figures, you have to make something. And you have to honor that, and you have to celebrate that. And then once things are working consistently is when you can actually scale. So you have those people telling you, write the affirmations and repeat to yourself, I'm a six-figure earner, but you don't even have an offer. Or you have $100 course that you haven't even sold. So yeah, you can get to six figures, but it's not going to be this year if you don't have, different tiers. And if you're not really preparing your audience, like what I've been talking about here on the show, like, oh my gosh, I've learned so much. And we just forget that you're a beginner. You're always going to be a beginner. And I think this humility has also been a key step in my growth, is having the humility to accept where I'm at and to celebrate it. It takes humility. It really does. It takes humility to just look at yourself, because if you're too arrogant to even look at where you are, isn't that so twisted? Because you think you're being humble by saying I'm not worthy, but it's not. It's really like self-loathing behavior. And being humble in this instance can be a way of showing your self-love, because it's self-acceptance, right? It's honoring where you are right now. And I really used to beat myself up a lot in the beginning of my business, trying to understand why and how I was blocking my success, because apparently success is making a lot of money. And then I would look at my own income as an interpreter, which is pretty decent. The pay for hour, especially for Portuguese, because It's what they call it, LOTS, language other than Spanish, which means it's more of a commodity, so we get paid more than Spanish interpreters. And then I would look at my husband's income as an electrician. He makes pretty good money. And also, my parents are pretty well off in Brazil. If we do have a need, I know I can count on them. So then I started thinking, well, maybe not being in need is my actual block. If I actually had to put food on the table with my business, then maybe I would be pushing harder, or maybe I would be making this work more. And then here comes 2020 with all its surprises. And it really opened my eyes to realize that money is good, but impact is so much better. And the very reason why my business grew so much this year is because I stopped focusing on the money and started looking to bring transformation to my audience and to my clients. And now I am so proud and happy to say that I have people that I know for a fact that earn more than my whole household income combined, but they're looking to me for help. They see something in me that some of the top-notch coaches has not brought to them, has not provided to them. And isn't that incredible? That's because I've really found in me that one thing that makes me unique, that sets me apart. And I'm still discovering it. And I think it's an ever ending process. You know, you reach new levels of self-awareness, and that allows you to connect with your audience on a deeper level because, oh my gosh, I really thought I was writing amazing content and doing super inspirational and transformational quotes, but I never had as much engagement in my stuff as I've had this year. And yeah, I've grown my audience, but I know it's a direct reflection of how I've been feeling about myself. And it goes back to that humility. And it goes back to that self-acceptance. And it really goes back to serving, right? What I've been talking about. Engage your audience to serve and not sell. It makes a difference. It really, really makes a difference. And I got to tell you, even with the sales rolling in, I still have moments of dissatisfaction. It's like I'm longing so much for that person to sign up that said they would. And then once they do, have you ever felt that? Once they do, you're like, oh, cool. I'm still kind of dissatisfied with my business and with my life. And then it led me to understand that when I wasn't making a whole lot of money, I was thinking once I make money, I'm going to feel better. I started making the money, and there are still days when those thoughts roll in. There are still days when I feel like giving up. There are still days when I, question myself. But it's different because now I know better. So I even asked this in some groups on Facebook, the question, have you ever felt silly about, saying you're a business owner or entrepreneur if you're not making a whole lot of money? And several people said, no, you shouldn't. I never have. And others said, yes, I do constantly. Others said, I did in the beginning. And others said, if you don't have insecurities and doubts, you're never going to push past your comfort zone. And I love that response so much because it's so true. Whoever tells you that they never feel insecure is a liar. And if they truly believe that that is true, they're in denial. Because again, it's defense mechanism. Everybody has those thoughts. It's just a matter of how do you react and how promptly do you react to turn it around, right? And I truly believe that with self-awareness, with that humility, and with the focus on the transformation, you're able to turn that around faster and make something out of it. Like me here, a teaching moment, a teaching example, right? I love overanalyzing these things so that I can bring them to you and help you start analyzing these things in your life as well. So it's not the money that brings you happiness or success. It's knowing that you facilitated someone's breakthrough. That, my friend, is truly priceless. It really is. There's a reason why they say money can't buy you love, money can buy you happiness. And then people are like, well, that's relative. It kind of can. Yeah, if you're really struggling, it can put you in a different position, in a different situation, in a better situation. But ultimately, deep inside, that sense of fulfillment and that sense of satisfaction does not come with money. It comes with you being surrounded by people you love, knowing you helped somebody, knowing you facilitated something. You know what I'm talking about. It's in those moments when you're hearing your children laugh and you're just, not a care in the world. Those are the moments. And of course, if you have money in certain situations, you can avoid certain stresses and you can feel those feelings. But ultimately, it's not that one sale that's going to hold the feeling of fulfillment for forever. Because the feeling of fulfillment is fleeting if you don't know how to cultivate it. So it's not the money that's going to make a difference. So my message to you today is that if you're feeling like a failure, just remember that the more you focus on the impact, the more things will unexpectedly, yet surely, work out for you. Truly, truly, truly focus on the transformation that you can bring, because that's how your fire and your passion comes through in your heart, and people notice that. And that's why I'm so excited to share more content on this in 2021. I have so many amazing things in store to help women entrepreneurs make sales, but more importantly, reach the true fulfillment that is changing someone else's life. Oh, I am so excited about all of this. And another thing that I think goes hand in hand with this is I've really spent so much time in my life worrying if others liked and loved me. And I think the income would be a confirmation. They loved me, so that's why they invested in me. They liked me. But then I realized that this wild goose chase was preventing me from seeing that who really needed my love and attention was myself. And I truly believe that this year it was something that I was able to cultivate even more. I've been talking about self-love for a long time, but the self-reflection of the pandemic and the unexpected changes really facilitated that. But even looking back before the pandemic, marriage, triplets, starting a business, all of these things, which are collectively some of the hardest things in life, they helped me understand that the moment I stop seeking for others' recognition, I actually receive it more than ever. And again, it may seem so contradictory to say that when it comes to making sales, because it's like, this is why I have a business, because I want to make money. But that is not really the why. At least that should not really be the why. It's that transformation piece, right? Because if you can help change one person's life, you can help change several people's lives. And therefore, if you can sell one course, you can sell 100 courses. And it all really starts with you seeing your potential first. Because many people right now, they see your potential, they see your light, they see your fire, but it really takes you seeing it and owning it for the magic to happen. So back to that humility, the self-love, and the self-acceptance. Because if you really think that you are seeing your potential, but you're still feeling stuck, you're really not. It's like that denial that I just talked about. So I invite you to dig deep and to realize that everything that you need is already within you, and that the hopes and desires in your heart, they are not just dreams. They're yours, right? And they can be your reality if you really allow it to be. So that's my tip for you. Ringing in Christmas, right? 2020. I am so excited, to close out this year on an amazing note, amazing note. I have another episode in store for next week as well before the year ends, but I wanted to leave you with this, with some encouragement in case you're feeling a little low, if you're not satisfied with your income, or if you're feeling like an imposter, or if you're feeling discouraged. Just know those feelings happen. Those are normal, but it's all about you focusing on the transformation. Focus on the impact that you can cause. And things are going to shift, I promise you. As per usual, I hope this encouraged and motivated you, and I do encourage you to join my Facebook group if you're not in there yet, where I'm always bringing this kind of content and questions and engagement to help you really get encouraged and get empowered to serve your audience and the people you love. It's called the Empowered Woman Community, and the link is in the show notes. Until next time, bye.